I am Christelle from Diabetes Strong, and today we're going to talk about how your periods can affect your diabetes. A lot of things can impact your blood sugars outside just insulin and food, and hormones are probably one of the heaviest offenders. So when it comes to the female hormone cycle, most will have to pay attention and adjust our care throughout our cycle to maintain whatever diabetes management goals we have for ourselves. I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when I was 19 years old, and I pretty quickly noticed that my insulin needs would vary dramatically throughout my cycle. And this was even before CGMs, continuous glucose monitors. So this was just from measuring my blood sugars before and after meals. At that point, I was seeing a younger male endocrinologist, and during my visit, I would bring this to him. I was like, so I've noticed that my blood sugars will, fluctuate wildly throughout my period. Is there a connection there? And he gave me a flat out no. So he was wrong. Luckily back then, I chose to listen to my body and adjust my care throughout my period. And I just hope that he has gained that knowledge as well throughout the years. Menstrual cycles range from 25 to 36 days on average, and your hormone levels will change quite a bit throughout your cycle. Exact blood sugar management throughout a period probably will never really be a thing, but knowing how the different kind of hormones impact blood sugars and how they fluctuate throughout your cycle can really help you gain an understanding so that you can adapt your care to your changing hormone levels. The menstrual cycle has 3 phases. So there's different hormones impacting this whole process, and these hormones will impact your insulin sensitivity, meaning how effective your body is at utilizing the insulin that you either inject or that your body produces by itself. And this is just like cortisol can make blood sugars go up, so can these hormones. So let's just look at this graph over the female hormone cycle. I think that's really helpful to see visualized. As you can see up here, as we go through the phases, so we start menstruation and then the 3 phases comes after that. But as you can see, the hormones actually go up twice during the menstrual cycle. So the first one is halfway through your cycle during ovulation, and the other one is closer to your period as your body gets ready for the period. So during these 2 hormone surges, so midway through and before your period, a lot of women will see increased insulin resistance. That means that they will need more insulin during these periods of time. I personally don't really see a decrease in my insulin sensitivity mid-cycle, but I have noticed a significant decrease in my insulin sensitivity right before my period. For me, it's about a week. For some people, it's up to 10 days. So that means I'm very insulin resistant up to the week before my period. However, once my period starts and those hormone levels comes down, I quickly go back to my normal insulin sensitivity level. So how will you know whether or not your blood sugars are impacted by your period? What I would recommend is 2 things. I would recommend that you keep a detailed log of your blood sugars and your insulin needs throughout your period, and also hold that up against when does your period start, how long is it, and then basically you can hold those 2 data set up against each other and see, well, during different periods of your cycle, are you more insulin resistant or not? There's some different ways that you can keep track of that. I mean, you can keep a paper log, you can use your calendar, but there's also some period trackers, like free apps that you can use. Just use whatever's easiest for you. So it's easy to just say, well, just, increase your insulin when you become insulin resistant. But in reality, most of us don't know exactly when our period is going to start. There's a few different ways to get around that. As I mentioned, there are some period trackers that might make it a little easier for you, but at least having a feel about when your period starts is helpful. So I personally manage it so that I kind of know when my period starts. A week before, I'll start to pay additional attention. So extra attention, go like, okay, when does that insulin sensitivity hit? So I would rather wait for it to actually hit before I change my basal insulin. I'm okay with doing corrections until I'm sure that, okay, the pre-period insulin resistance has kicked in. And once it does, then I do change my baseline insulin. Just a word of caution though, as I mentioned, as soon as your period starts, your insulin sensitivity is gonna go back to normal. And that can be like that. So be very careful, because it's kind of like you go from one monster to the other. And you don't want to run around with way too much basal insulin going. So different ways of doing this. Obviously, you need to find out what's best for you. Work with your medical team. Just have a plan, because having a week or even 2 weeks a month where you go insanely high because you're insulin resistant due to the increase in your hormones is no fun either. I hope this video was helpful and it gave you some more information about how periods affect diabetes and how to manage it. Thank you so much for watching.